Well, you know, Haynes, we're here in our first hunting camp of the fall. And as I think back on my 20 years of hunting, deer hunting, whitetail hunting specifically, which, you know, it's hard to believe that we're there, but I think back to some of those original hunting camps that I was a part of at, you know, my grandfather's house and a couple other gentlemen's house. And there are a few outdoor legacy staples or brands that were always a part of that camp, you know, and I'll tell you, one of them was Tink's and the whole Tink 69 doe urine or attractant. And, you know, we've got one of those products here in front of us, and you probably think about the scent bombs as well being the other product that's in front of us. And that's a brand that a lot of people can resonate with as whitetail deer hunters.
Oh, yeah. Well, as whitetail hunters, we're fascinated with hunting gear.
Yeah.
You know, we want to find out what works for us and what can make us more effective in the field. And I tell you, Tink 69, if you're a whitetail guy, I guarantee you've heard of it, and there's a really good chance that you've used it. It's been around since 1972, an iconic brand that has led the way with a lot of the attractants in the whitetail space. And, you know, I think back, really the history of North American whitetail and the kind of content that we publish, a lot of it is how-to hunting content. Yep. Articles that help our readers be more successful. And back before my time, in the 1980s and early 90s, you know, we were publishing a lot of really groundbreaking articles about hunting strategy for killing big bucks. And one of that was using scent attractants and lures to bring in big bucks on mock scrapes and, you know, using attractants to lure them into range. And Tinks, they've been there the whole time, and they've been the brand that so many whitetail hunters have reached for.
Yeah, well, and talking about origination, let's talk a little bit more about the brand itself. And as I think back about the outdoor content that I've watched, specifically the whitetail outdoor content that I've watched over the years, you know, a couple figureheads that kind of stick out to me when I think about Tinks are one, Terry Rom, who was the longtime marketing director of Tinks, and the other one, of course, the originator of Tinks, and that was Mr. Tink Nathan himself.
Tink.
Yeah. And if you didn't see him in camo or you saw him off screen or outside of the stand in camp, you'd probably remember him because he was always wearing a big cowboy hat, and he is usually wearing a button-up shirt that resembled the state flag of Texas.
That's
It's
right.
kind of hard to forget. You know?
Texas state pride runs deep.
It does, you know. So, you know, you think back to Tinks and you're going to think about Mr. Tink, you know. So it's pretty neat to think about that history that has come out of that man himself. And, you know, Tink, he was a bow hunter, and that's how he got invested in the process of you know, building out an attractant or a lure line. And that original idea behind Tinks was driven by his desire to get closer to big bucks in the rut. So he started to play with scent lures and attractants.
Right.
And it eventually evolved into developing his own lures. And that original formula for him was Tink 69, which is pretty neat that it still exists today, almost 50 years later, as their staple of the brand.
For sure. That's the coolest thing to me, you know. Like we said, whitetail guys are really particular about their gear. And so many guys, they subscribe to that if it ain't broke, don't fix it adage.
Right.
And that's really Tinks. You've got this formula that's time-proven, and it's worked back in the day, and it continues to work now. But one thing I love about Tinks as a brand is not only do they roll out, you know, their time-tested 69 doe estrus formula, but they're also a brand that has evolved and continued to release new products like their scent bomb and other diffusers that they've used now that are available that are new products that are still on the cutting edge of the attractant world.
That's right. You know, and you see most of those products that they've developed, you know, they're innovative in the fact that they're using that legacy product and they're finding ways to distribute or deploy that product in different forms, more efficient forms, more forms that are going to last longer and provide more value or efficiency to you as a consumer. So it's pretty neat to see how they continue to evolve this brand, which, you know, is what we're going to talk a little bit more over these next couple of segments about in regards to Tinks. We're going to talk about their new products that they've developed and the ways in which they're bringing them to the marketplace, and then we're going to look at the future of Tinks. You know, you've got 50 years of legacy almost, and what does the future bring?
Well, I tell you, you know, when it comes to killing big whitetails, scent attractants are never going to go out of style. Big deer will always be killed using scent attractants, and that's what I love about this series. As we dive into some of these products, we're going to show you some of the new stuff out that can be effective for this hunting season.
Yeah, and we've seen that to that point. We've seen that just recently with, you know, a new world record in the Brewster buck that was killed coming to a mock scrape. You know? So it's a product and a strategy or tactic that's still going to be useful to you as a deer hunter, and we're just going to surround it around Tinks and the brand and their products that they have today. So you guys stay tuned. I hope you enjoy this series.